Well, it wouldn't really be that different in principle. You have a number of members, they're pooling their resources, and they'll make loans to development-style projects. By the way, just announcing it and putting the money in by itself won't get it up and running. You're going to have to get staff and headquarters and loan procedures. So all that, it could actually take years. But it's a significant step in the direction of moving away from the Bretton Woods institution. So it might not be that different, but the fact that it's controlled by the BRICS, based in China, mostly capitalized by China, gives China more power in choosing which infrastructure projects get funded, which do not. China might favor water infrastructure, for example, relative to other things the World Bank might be doing. But this, and also the contingent reserve arrangement, that's the other big initiative of the BRICS, which is sort of an alternative to the IMF. So what's going on here is really the BRICS are saying, look, what we really want is more votes and more voice inside the IMF and the World Bank. But if we're not getting it, we will build our own parallel institutions, and that's what they're doing.
Usually with these kinds of proposals, it takes years to actually materialize. What kind of specifics are you looking for at the end of this summit?
Well, the fact that they're actually committing to put the money in and get the thing going, that's significant. The last BRICS summit, they announced the intention to do it. Now, if they actually, start putting the money in and legally forming it. But you're right, these things do take years. Even the Bretton Woods institutions, which were formally created in 1944, it really wasn't until the late 40s, early 50s that they actually got up and running and fully staffed and making loans. So you might expect it would take years, but these are all straws in the wind. Every single member of the BRICS, multiple times, has voiced dissatisfaction with the dollar hegemony, the dollar-based system, and the IMF, which is really dominated by the U.S. So it's not that there's a revolution that happens overnight, but it's more of an evolution away from the dollar, and these announcements are part of it. By the way, Russia has a new proposal to create an energy association, a BRICS Energy Association. If it becomes the main supplier of energy to the BRICS and they start pricing energy exports in something other than the dollar, that's another very significant move away from the dollar.
Jim, I'm just curious, what has taken the BRICS so long to come up with these sort of plans? Because, during any sort of financial crises, when countries in trouble, financial trouble, have to go to the IMF and the World Bank, of course, a lot of that comes with contingents, right? Caveats that are attached to some of these loans. How do you think that the developed world, IMF and World Bank, are going to be responding to these kind of initiatives as they get off the ground?
Well, what's interesting is Christine Lagarde, who's the head of the IMF, recently threw down the gauntlet at the United States. The United States has not funded the commitment it made in the April 2009 London G20 summit. China, Japan, Netherlands, a lot of other countries around the world have funded their commitments, but the United States has not. Now there's a plan afoot to convert that loan into more what they call quota or equity, but it hasn't been approved by the U.S. Congress. And Lagarde said, look, if you don't get it done by the end of the year, the end of this year, 2014, we, the IMF, may look at our overall structure, our articles of agreement, and start to move in a different direction. So she's a little more sympathetic to the BRICS point of view. You look at China, China's about 10% of global GDP, but their vote at the IMF is only about 5%. So they're underweight, whereas countries like Belgium are overweight. At least with these new BRICS institutions, China will have a vote and a voice proportionate to its contribution. So, this may be the future. And as I say, it doesn't happen overnight, but one step at a time.